Hi everyone, my name is Marta Grant. I'm the study abroad advisor for Cal students, and I'm here with...
I'm Lee Burras. I'm an agronomy professor. I work in environmental science and global resource systems a little bit too, but basically I think about soils.
Okay, so where are you heading this fall? What program are you leading?
Excellent. Well, thanks for the question. Going to Uruguay over Thanksgiving break. It's a great 10 to 11 day trip, something like that, where we'll see a bunch of the country.
Very cool. How many times have you been to Uruguay?
This will just be like my fifth time.
Fifth time,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
And why do you go there? Why do you keep going back?
So many reasons. First, I have incredible colleagues. I work with Morrill Professor, who's a professor there, who's phenomenal, just as a scientist and as a human being. I'm doing some research there, but more than anything, because it's a phenomenal place for Iowans to go visit, people at Iowa State to go visit, because there's Montevideo, the capital, and then outside of Montevideo it's all farmland. It's like Iowa, and they have exactly the same agricultural issues we have, the same environmental issues, the same social issues, like immigration. They deal with it. And it's beautiful. Wonderful food.
Awesome. I guess what foods or what things are you really excited for students to try when they get there? Like, what do you encourage them to do? How to get out there, experience the culture, that sort of thing?
Sure. Well, the nice thing is Mario, our host, makes sure we see so many different types of places throughout the country. So we get to see the whole culture. In terms of food, that's always a blast, because most people I found when they think of Latin America, they think it'll be beans and rice based meals, and there aren't beans and rice. It's like more like eating in Italy or in
pasta.
A lot of pasta, and lots of pasta. Potatoes, occasionally a vegetable, not too often, lots and lots of meat.
Wow, that sounds great. I know I went to Argentina, and after the trip, it was like I was so full of meat and bread, so it was exciting.
That was it.
It was very exciting.
And I didn't mention the bread.
Bread, sounds great. Okay, well, that's exciting. You mentioned that the agriculture in Uruguay is very similar to that of Iowa. Could you just expand on that a little bit? What can students expect to see when they're down there?
Sure, yeah. Well, the first thing is, thinking about Latin America in general, Uruguay is fairly flat.
Okay.
Completely different than if Costa Rica comes to mind or something like that, or the Andes if you go to Chile or such, or Ecuador, Colombia. The second thing is farming practices are very much like here in the temperate area of Iowa. Row crops are common. Okay. Less corn, but certainly a lot of soybeans, a lot of wheat. But since it's on the edge of the temperate region, right up against the subtropical region, everything is double cropped. You do 2 crops a year in all the fields. There's extensive areas of pasture. So there's all this stuff that we see in Iowa. Iowa has about 8 million acres of pasture. We have about 10 million acres of soybeans. They have the same. And then on top of that, though, a couple things I want to mention is they also take afforestation very seriously. Okay. They've decided to take the worst soils and put them into forest for economic purposes, and it's working very well. So we'll get to see that integrated in with the farming practices. And then another thing I want to mention is they really take wine seriously. Not that I'm advocating any student drinks wine, but they have wonderful vineyards and such tied in with the farming practices of both cropping and livestock.
Definitely, that's really interesting. I guess a question off of that would be, so what sort of technologies do you see used down there, and is that fairly similar to what we have in Iowa, or are they more advanced in some regions? Like you mentioned double cropping, there has to be new technologies related to that.
Yeah, I would say in general, the tractors, the field equipment, all that sort of stuff will look identical to Iowa, and often they will be exactly the same.
Wow, very cool.
See a big John Deere tractor or such, and then, but with some of the GPS and precision farming techniques, they're certainly at Iowa standards, if not above.
Wow, very cool.
They watch us very, very closely, and they emulate or even expand what we do very, very nicely. It's really interesting, because often when you ask a farmer, he or she will tell you their yield is like 10 metric tons per hectare for maize. Okay. And that would be, I don't know, 180 bushels per acre. Okay. And Iowa averages 12.5 metric tons, so a little over 200 bushels per acre. Okay. So it sounds like our yield's 10% higher than theirs. But then when you keep talking, they're only talking about one of their crops, and they're getting 2 crops. And as soon as you hear that, it's like,
Definitely an important industry and a thing to keep an eye on down there. So what classes do you teach on campus? How do students get to know you outside of studying abroad?
Okay, so the classes I teach on campus, I teach soil conservation and land use, which is a large sophomore level class, just covers that, soil conservation and land use, and it's focused largely in Iowa, but then globally. And then I teach a soil formation class, but I've also taught environmental geography for the past dozen years or more, 15 years. The years fly by, and then I teach a soil genesis class and environmental soil science. So I have a whole bunch of courses, and so people take different courses, and then that's how they know me.
Awesome. Okay. Do you have a favorite Iowa State tradition?
Wow. A favorite Iowa State tradition?
Yep.
No, I this comes back to, you asked about culture of Uruguay.
Yep.
I like the overall culture of Iowa State very much, so I like these different components seasonally.
Okay.
But that does make me think my favorite thing to do at Iowa State is I give a tour of the campus from a point of view of the campus being what's known as a brownfield, a highly disturbed site. So I take people on campus and make them think about the soil in ways that scare them and don't want to bring anyone to campus.
How the soil and the environment has changed with Iowa State being here. Very cool.
We've had radioactive waste buried on this campus before.
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of fun.
Very cool.
Yeah, yep, good.
Very cool. Okay, so last question.
Sure.
What do you want to say to students about being excited for this class this fall?
It's a phenomenal trip. I mean, and I've gone many places, taken students many places, but it's beautiful country, incredible food, wonderful vistas, just a beautiful place, and it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, awesome. Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Yep.